channel. Welcome back to my larder, and I'm still keeping calm and I'm still carrying on. Now today I was going to share with you for Vlogtober, another day. I'm not sure what day it is at the moment. I was so muddled up because I got a bit behind, but I thought I'd share with you how I went and did a little bit of voucher shopping, and my word, what a palaver. So years ago, when I was a kid, I'm not even that old, but the world has changed so much. When I was a kid, getting a voucher was so exciting. I mean, hear me out with this one. It might not seem that excited now, but back in the day, things were a lot simpler and you didn't get as much stuff. Certainly not in my house. And getting a voucher was so exciting. And they were paper coupons, if you like. Vouchers that you'd be given, and they usually were in a little card, and you just went to the shop, you chose what you wanted, you went to the counter, you gave them the paper voucher, and they would go, thank you very much. That was it. You did have to use them all. You didn't get change. You could add to them with money, but I remember specifically that most of the time the ones I had, you didn't get change. So then you get voucher, say for £1 or something, you would have to spend £1. You couldn't spend 90p and they would give you 10 pence change. A lot of the time you had to use all the vouchers in one go. So that was what used to happen, and there wasn't as many cheap shops around then. It was all sort of branded stuff and things like that. I think the thing I remember most is I actually won a poetry competition in our Eisteddfod once, our school Eisteddfod, and I got given some book vouchers as a prize. Very exciting. So you had to go to a proper bookshop. I think it must have been Waterstones or something along those lines, because there wasn't all the B&Ms and all this type of thing then. It was just branded shops for the most part. And I still remember, I still got a couple of the books. I haven't got all of them. I managed to get 3 books with the value of the vouchers. I got King Solomon's Mines. I remember reading that. I haven't read that since I was a teenager. I remember it's something to do with treasure and Alan Quatermain and going off looking for stuff. I remember. Can't remember. But anyway, I got King Solomon's Mines. I got a book called Ghost in the Water, because there was a TV series on, like a kids drama based on the book Ghost in the Water back in the day, and I was enjoying the TV series, so I got the book to read the book. I think I've still got that one somewhere, possibly. And then the other book I got, which is really showing my age, was I got a book, Grange Hill, a story about Grange Hill, which was another kids TV programme set in a high school. And you know what era you are by who were the characters in Grange Hill when you were a kid. So the book that I got, and it was a story about them going abroad on a school trip, and it had Gripper in there. You'll know, if you know, you know. Gripper was being really horrible to children, demanding money off them, trying to get his sponsor money for his school trip without actually doing anything but being Gripper. And he did get found out, by the way, though, and had to end up doing laps of the school field for his sponsor money, and he actually did very well at it. And then there was Tucker, good old Tucker, who had left Grange Hill but was dating one of these girls, and they went along on the school trip to help out as extra pairs of hands. So there we are. That was it. So I got that book as well. So there we are. That's enough reminiscing about kids' TV shows. Weren't they so much better back in the day? None of this animated stuff. There was some really good kids' TV programs. I mean, we won't even get into Tiswas, but if you know, you know. So anyway, vouchers used to be great, and you could just go to the shop, spend your vouchers. I got given a voucher. I help out a kids activity club, and I got given as a present in the summer for helping out. I got given a gift voucher. And I thought, great. Still coughing a bit, sorry. I really need some walking boots. I walk my dog every day, a couple of times a day. Through the summer it's been dry. I've had my trainers on. My old boots I'd had for a few years, and they were hurting my feet. They were all horrible inside. I tried insoles and everything. They also had slits in them and were letting in the wet, and I needed a pair of boots. So I thought, right, that's what I'm going to keep this voucher for. And I saw on the voucher it said you could use it at Sports Direct. I thought, great. So I happened to go off, because I don't live near a Sports Direct, so I went off I don't take a lot of time. I looked at the boots when I found the boot section because it was tucked away, hidden in a corner. Had to ask somebody where it was, and I found the boot section and I was looking for something with good grips and stuff. Anyway, I found these. Good grips on the bottom. I didn't want the breathable stuff. Last time I had a pair that was breathable, but it just meant the water got in because the air can get out, the water can get in. So I wanted an enclosed pair. This looked quite a nice colour, the purple. It was the price I wanted to pay. I thought, great, tried it on. I had to go up a size. I took with me a pair of thick socks because I knew I'd be wearing thick socks when I walked the dog. So my youngest daughter was with me. It was quite funny. I took this big pair of fluffy socks out my handbag, put them on to try the boots on, made sure there was a bit of wiggle room, you know, for your bunions, that kind of thing. So got these boots, thought, great. Went to the till, presented the voucher. First of all, she said, oh, I don't think we take those. And I said, well, it's actually got Sports Direct written on it. So she said, all right. And then she went, you haven't activated it. And I went, activated it? What? What are you going to do? Luckily, I had my youngest daughter with me and went, have you not activated it? I went, no, I've just bought my voucher to the thing. So she said, oh, come here. So she stands there. Luckily, she's got one of these smartphone things and she's pressing this and pressing that, and she said, oh, it's got all the instructions on the back. How is it? I mean, she was there for a good few minutes activating this thing. I mean, it's a good job she was there. I wouldn't have had a clue. And she was there. It took her ages. And then she said, oh, it could take up to an hour. It'll send us an email back with the voucher that you can use in the shop. I was like, you're having a laugh. So we ended up having to leave the things there. And then we went off and did some other shopping. And then when luckily it didn't take too long to come through, we went back to the shop because they'd kept the boots me behind the counter. Found out then you do have to use the voucher, the same as when the old-fashioned ones, all in the same place. So I did grab a pair of socks, pack of socks on the way to the till, just to make up the money. So these are just trainer socks. These are quite comfy. I wear these type of socks to work with my shoes, so I got those. And then we did get to the till and that worked great, but I thought I didn't know anything about activating it and I wouldn't know where to begin to activate a voucher. So if any of my kids send me vouchers for Christmas, activate them first, or whatever you've got to do with them, because I haven't got a clue. I thought, what happened to the just go into the till? Right, then the second thing that happened is I went to Matalan. Now, there was a saga earlier in the year. I went to Matalan. I got given a voucher for Christmas, a Matalan voucher. I like Matalan. Actually, I like some of their stuff. And one had opened, I would say close to us, but an hour away from us, which is our nearest big town. And I'd gone there in the summer and bought a dress, a summer dress. I think I did show it with you. And there was trouble with the voucher, but they just called the woman out from behind the back, the manager, and she went, oh yeah, you just got to put this number in and that number in, blah, 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 and it worked fine. And then I went off to Cardiff. We had a trip in the summer because my daughter was looking for a dress for an event. And there was a Matalan there, and I went in there to have a look round, saw these gorgeous woodland animal items, homewares. And when I got to the till, the voucher wouldn't work again because I had money left on this voucher. And the one behind the till was actually quite rude. And I said, oh, this happened at the other Matalan. They just called somebody out and they just put some different numbers in and it worked first time. Well, she said, no, she wouldn't call anyone out. She was really unhelpful, really rude. And in the end, to cut a long story short, I left the stuff there. I said, well, I haven't got the money for it. I was going to use the voucher. And she was a bit, and I thought, well, no, she was so rude about the whole thing. And I kept saying, well, it worked in the other branch. They just had to put in a different number. No, you've done it wrong. You've got this wrong. And I had two different versions of this voucher and neither of them were working, and she was very nasty about it. And in the end, I just left. So was not very happy with that one. Anyway, I went back to the Matalan I bought the dress from to see if they had the homewares, which they did. They were lovely. And I got the voucher to work. I'll show you, actually, tell you the story, then I'll show you the stuff. So I got the things that I wanted. I went to the till. I explained to the girl behind the till. I said, the last time I was in here, this voucher for some reason wouldn't work, but somebody came out from behind the back and just said you have to put in some different numbers, and it worked. And she was really nice. She said, oh, well, we'll give it a try and then we'll see. And it didn't work. And she said, right, I'll call whatever her name was. And she said to me, was the lady that helped you last time? And she got like long dark hair. And I went, yes, that's the one. She said, oh, she's working today. Called her. She actually remembered, even though it was a good few months ago, and she went, oh yes, I remember, because it doesn't happen very often, but occasionally it does. And she actually said to the lady who was working behind the till, this is what you do if this happens. You just put in this number and that number and you click that, and it worked. It took her seconds. No animosity, no trouble at all. Although I am beginning to stress about these vouchers now. I think I'm going to say to the kids, just give me cash, because you know, I can't be doing with this. But she was lovely, and it worked without any problems at all. And I did say about what had happened at the other branch, and she did apologise and say, well, there was no need for that, because all they had to do was put in this number and it would have worked very easily. So she didn't know why there was a problem. She said occasionally they do this, which is why they know how to do it. So yeah, she was lovely. I did say if there was any customer feedbacks anywhere I could tick for how wonderful they were so helpful. Anyway, this is what I got with my vouchers. So if my oldest daughter's watching, this is what I got with the rest of my Matalan voucher you gave me for Christmas. And yes, it's got woodland animals on it. There might be a hint of a squirrel and a hedgehog and stuff in here because, well, that's me. I've got this set of canisters. They're stackable canisters, but you can also use them one at a time, which is what I'll be doing. And look, they've got all little woodland creatures on them. Look at that. They've got squirrels and otters and hedgehogs and deer and mice and hares and all the rest of it. Isn't that just so me? And they've got a little wooden lid. Perfect. So I thought I could keep my treats in there. I'm going to keep my fruit tea in one of them. That was the one. Then this one again. This is sort of the same sort of design around there again. Going to keep my fruit tea. And then this one has got the deer on it and some berries and stuff like that. I pity that was a squirrel, but I'll take a deer because they are cute. So I got that. And then I saw these placemats. Oh, can't pick them up. So I've got these lovely placemats. There we go. And they've got all the woodland animals on there again. They've got the hedgehogs and the squirrel, because it's obviously the same set. So yeah, all that on there. And I needed some new placemats. Mine are looking a bit worse for wear. In a way, I wish I got 2 sets, because when people come to visit, I have to have a mishmash. So I might have to see next time. And then they had coasters. Now the coasters don't match the placemats in the fact that they're a different colour, but the deer is the same. They've got the deer on there and the little hedgehog and the toadstools, which obviously does match the deer on there. But I would have preferred them to be the green colour, because I really like stuff to match. That's my little thing in life. I like matching stuff. Now, that's all I could afford to get with my voucher. However, my youngest daughter was with me and they did crockery there, and she's got me a couple of the bowls, plates and side plates in the same set, but she's got that because it's going to be for my birthday in the future, which is in the autumn, in another month. And so she's got me that to go with the set yeah, as a birthday gift. But I'm not allowed it, so when it's been my birthday and I get it, I will show you, because it's adorable. But it is the same as these. It's the same set, so it's the woodland animals, which is lovely, and it goes with my tablecloth, which is woodland animals and my sort of kitcheny theme. So yes, so it was really nice. So I've got that. She's got me some of that. So that was really good, but I'm so pleased eventually the voucher worked. But what a palaver. But it was not, I mean, but at the end of the day, though it was a bit of a palaver, I was so lucky, because those boots were free as it was a gift, and my little canisters and placemats, obviously it was a Christmas gift, so I didn't have to pay for those either. So that was lovely. So I do appreciate that. So thank you so much if you're watching. If you're not watching, why are you not watching my videos? Give me a thumbs up. So yes, I'm sure they do. I know they do actually. So hello guys. Thank you so much for the gifts. So yeah, that was my little bit of excitement with the voucher shopping. It was just a bit crazy. I think it's getting more and more complicated to do absolutely everything these days. I mean, it was so simple back in the day and they've made it 100 times more complicated, and also it takes 10 times as long. I mean, we were stood there. My daughter's really fast at this sort of thing, and it took her quite a while going through trying to, you know, activate this voucher. I mean, what happened back in the day? You just had your coupon and you passed it behind the counter and tick, off you went. But I'm getting old. I think I'm getting one of those grumpy old ladies that just sort of rambles on and complains and think the old days are better. Although saying that, a lot of the youngsters these days think the old days were better as well, which is quite a turn up for books. So there we are. That was my little ramble for the day. Grumpy old lady that I've become. So if you remember vouchers, let me know in the comments below. Do you think they were better then or now? Let me know. I think I can guess the answer, especially because a lot of you remember good old postal orders. Yeah, they were fun times. I think things were a lot simpler for some, but then maybe it's the kids these days, they probably think our life years ago was just so old-fashioned, and they think things are simple today, aren't they, because they just brought up with it and they just get the hang of it a lot quicker. So I don't know, jury's out on that one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff, and until next time, let's all watch those pennies and stay a bit frugal.